Hi crafting friends, welcome back to my channel. If you love cozy winter crafts, Christmas in July, and unique DIY decor, you're going to love today's project. We're going to be making an adorable snowman vignette using simple supplies like styrofoam balls, Das air dry clay, and many Dollar Tree embellishments, perfect for your winter centerpiece or holiday display. I purchased almost all of the supplies for this budget-friendly DIY from decoupagenapkins.com as well as the Dollar Tree. I have links in the description box below. I'm going to be using 3 graduated size styrofoam balls, which I bought from the Dollar Tree. I'm attaching them using some glue and a skewer stick for stability. I've thinly rolled out the Das air dry clay, which I'm now wrapping around the first 2 styrofoam balls. I'm showing you here just how beautifully this does conform to the contours of these styrofoam balls. Just working it with my finger, you can see it adheres nicely. And it's important to first knead the clay a little bit to get it soft and pliable, and then roll it out as you saw me do rather thinly so that it does conform nicely to these balls. And you may need to roll out several sheets of the clay just to cover all surfaces. And once you have, you see I'm using some clear water. It looks colored because of the shadow, but it's actually just plain clear water in a mug that I'm using on my fingertips to smooth out the surface of the clay overlay. Now I'm just rolling out another piece of the clay so that I can cover a 3rd styrofoam ball. So here I have another thin sheet of the clay, and I'm going to be adding that over the 3rd styrofoam ball. You can see the water technique has given me a nice smooth surface, and now I'm adding some more glue to the ball in the middle and adding some as well to the skewer stick that has the smallest ball for the head. And now just wrapping that as I did the other portions. And again, you can see how that thin sheet of air dry clay contours beautifully around the head. And then again, I'll just go ahead after smoothing it and making sure all surfaces are covered. I'll use some more of the water on my fingertips to smooth it out. Next, I'm going to create some arms, but first I'm using this pottery tool to just touch up any other areas on the snowman. Now just cutting one of the arms. As you see, I'm just rolling out some narrow pieces, which I'm attaching very easily with a small amount of pressure, as well as a little bit of scoring right along the connection there. And then I'm just putting that arm in position. Depending on what you want your snowman to hold, you'll put your arms in different positions. But I'm going to have mine holding a little wreath, so they're facing toward the center. This is actually a chopstick. I saved it from a Chinese carry-out we received, and I'm using it because it's the perfect design for a carrot nose. It contours at the tip, and I've used some glue on the end that I've cut just to secure that into that styrofoam ball, and just rubbing that glue around that edge so it's not visible. And once everything dries, I'll be painting that. But in the meantime, I'm going to create some small balls that I'm flattening out with my finger, and I'm going to use those for his sweet little cheeks. We're going to also be using a marker to create the look of charcoal eyes and a smile. A drop of water combined with gentle pressure adheres those nicely. Now, buttons. I have 3 white buttons in graduated sizes and this wonderful Dixie Belle chalk mineral paint. And I'm using my little paintbrush, and I've actually attached the button to the end of a skewer stick just so that I can hold it up and give it a nice coat of paint. And you can see once I let those dry, we'll have some nice charcoal buttons. For those of you who are new, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Lisa. Welcome again to my channel. And if you're enjoying this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like, a thumbs up. It really does help my channel to grow. Now that the snowman has dried, that air dry clay is thin and dries quickly. You can see I'm using this orange Posca marker to paint our carrot stick nose. And then we're going to add on some more fun embellishments. Now, while that dries, I'm going to roll out another piece of this DOS air dry clay, which I've already quickly kneaded and manipulated in my hand to warm it up and make it more pliable. And now you see I'm just rolling out another thin piece, and I'm going to create some fun ornament shapes. We'll be decorating those in an upcoming Christmas in July video, but I want to get them cut out and set aside so they'll have time to dry. My mom gave these to me. These are a special memory from my childhood when we used to make cookies with these 3 cookie cutters. So I want to just use some of them to create some fun Christmas ornament shapes. And first, as you see, we're doing the Christmas tree. And then I'm going to set that aside to dry while I use some other cutters to make some circles. Air dry clay does dry quickly, so it's important to work with it in small batches and to carefully wrap up what you're not using. Here's a clever trick I learned from Donna at Mason Creations, etc. She suggests that you can apply a thin layer of plastic overlay over your clay. And then when you make your designs, as you see here, I'm impressing this circular cookie cutter, it'll give you a nice smooth edge to your outline. And I'm showing you here as I remove it, you can see that edge is very nice. So we're going to set aside this round to dry as well. And I'm going to make several different designs. As you see, I'm also creating holes in the top of each so that we can put our ribbon hanging cord through once they dry. And I'm going to set these aside for next video when I show you a variety of ways to use rub-on transfers and paint techniques and other embellishments to create some very charming Christmas ornaments. When you're ready to wrap up your air dry clay, it's important to impress it together very tightly and then use your packaging, as you see here, folded and very tightly overwrapped. Now that our snowman has thoroughly dried, I'll be applying a couple of coats of the Dixie Belle Chalk mineral paint in the color Buttercream. The paints I'm using also can be found at decoupagenapkins.com. There really are your one-stop shop for all your crafting needs. This warm white buttercream colored paint has a beautiful matte finish and it's easy to work with. It gives it a soft, snowy effect. I'm also going to be adding some of the glitter paint maker, also sold by decoupagenapkins.com. It's a very, very fine glitter. You'll see how it gives a glistening effect, evocative of those snow crystals. This heat gun hastens the drying between coats of paint. I mixed some of this glitter paint maker directly into the paint, but I decided to add even more shimmer and shine by sprinkling a little bit directly onto that wet painted surface. Now that it's once again dry, I'm using another coat of paint. I find that 2 coats of this nice, rich buttercream paint works perfectly. And now that I've finished painting the entire front side, I'm going to add on one more fine sprinkle of the glitter paint maker. A light dusting really does make this snowman sparkle. And after allowing the snowman to thoroughly dry, I'm using this paint marker and I'm just going to put some dots to represent the eyes, and then I'm going to do the same thing to create a very happy smile. Going over them a little bit more, as you see I'm doing, will make them slightly larger. And I did that several times just until I thought his eyes were big enough. It's really delightful to create something and see it come to life. And this Sharpie marker is creating the look of a charcoal smile. Then I'm going to use some pretty pink watercolor paint to highlight those cheeks that we created from the clay. But first I'm going to attach the 3 black buttons to the front of the snowman using some hot glue. You can attach anything decoratively to the snowman. I'm choosing this wreath that I had in my stash, and I'm going to apply some hot glue to the front ends there of the hands, and I'm just going to place that sweet Christmas wreath right in the center. The options for what you let the snowman hold are endless, and you could also create some fun designs using the air dry clay and various molds. Now I'm using some pink watercolor paint, and I'm just going to highlight those contours we created with the clay. I think this soft pink against that buttercream colored paint is very pretty, and it's just a very handcrafted look. I think a snowman like this would bring a smile to anyone's face. Now let's dress him up. I'm using a Dollar Tree dog scarf. You can see this little pet scarf is the perfect softness and pattern for a snowman scarf and hat. It was $1.25 at the Dollar Tree and provides a nice soft piece of fabric. I'm cutting the first narrow strip to serve as a little scarf. Another wider piece will make a sweet checkered cap. All you have to do is create a narrow cuff by folding over that bottom piece. Hot glue comes in handy to secure it to itself and also to form seams to bring it around so that it makes, as you see, a nice little cap-shaped design. Once I see that it will fit over the head, I'm going to use a little piece of fine red twine just to hold the top in kind of a gathered way. And you can see I'm just cutting off a small amount of this red twine and then just tying it together, and that will create a nice gathered design at the top of the cap. And you can see how easily I created a coordinating little cap to match his soft scarf. Now that I see it will fit perfectly, I'm going to use some hot glue to secure it to the top of the snowman's head. And there he is, our own handcrafted charming snowman. This would look so pretty displayed singly or as part of a vignette, and that's what I'm going to show you next. But first I want to give him a little bit of stability for his base, and to do that I'm using this nice natural slice of wood. By hot gluing this to the base of the snowman, he'll be able to stand upright. You could insert him into a lantern, use it as part of a floral centerpiece, or stand alone under a lamp. But I'm going to create for you now a sweet little winter wonderland where he'll be the star of the show. And to do that, I'm using this popcorn tin. I thought the snowman design across the front in the snowy background would make the perfect backdrop. So I'm going to put the lid on using hot glue, and you see I've inverted it. That creates a lip, a nice platform where we can put our display. If you have a small tin, you could always fill it up with floral foam and use that as your platform. But since this was so large, I didn't want to have to use that much floral foam or filler. So I just used the lid overturned. And now to cover that, I'm using this very soft piece of cotton batting, and I'm just adhering that, as you see, with a ring of hot glue. That'll create the look of a snowy foundation. I think you'll be delighted to see how easily you can transform this large snowman themed tin into a magical winter assemblage using Dollar Tree ornaments, colorful balls, bottle brush trees, and my own handcrafted air dry clay snowman. It's budget-friendly fun and totally customizable. So we're going to begin to hot glue first our bottle brush trees as our background. And I'm adding in a group of 3. You can see I'm using the snow-dusted pine first, and then I'm going to add in this vibrantly colored pink one. The bottle brush trees come in all different colors and sizes, so you just want to choose a nice grouping that coordinates with the size of your tin. And now for the star of the show, I'm going to add some hot glue to the base of the wood round and secure the snowman in place. I think he just turned out so well, and that homemade charm really brings everything together. Now I'm adding a Dollar Tree ornament. This pretty gold deer really adds a pop of color, and I'm also adding in some ornaments from the Dollar Tree. All different colors come in large packages for $1.25, so they're nice as filler or accents, bringing in just playful pops of color. And here's the finished assemblage. I love how whimsical and cozy it turned out, perfect for winter decorating or even gifting, or for craft fairs if you like to sell your projects. I think this one would be very popular. It's also a great way to use up bits and pieces from your craft stash. Making these vignettes is always fun, and no two are ever alike. I hope you've enjoyed seeing some of the tips and techniques for using air dry clay. Please do consider subscribing if you haven't already. The next video will be another Christmas in July using those clay ornaments, and I'll show you some fun ways to decorate them. In the meantime, do take care, and God bless.